Chicago's gun violence has been a talking point among presidents.
It happens on the streets of Chicago every day.
Chicago is like a war zone.
And the media for years. In 2016, the city saw a historic level of murders. Violence is something some residents on the city's south and west sides have come to expect, but that doesn't mean they're used to it.
I think we make the mistake of thinking somehow the violence, people get accustomed to it or hardened to it or numb to it, but it stays with you. And in fact, it shapes you. And what I found is the people I spend time with is they work ferociously trying to keep it from defining them.
Alex Kotlowitz has covered Chicago's gun violence for decades. He co-produced the 2011 film The Interrupters about a violence prevention group of the same name.
The only thing came to my mind was retaliate. They got to know they did the wrong person.
His new book, An American Summer, features 14 stories of Chicagoans grappling with the chaotic aftermath of violence in the summer of 2013. He spoke with us about his book and how there's nothing post about traumatic stress for some survivors.
Not to be all Terry Gross, but I wanted to start with an excerpt in here. I wanted, if you will, to kind of read what's highlighted here.
Sure.
I've tried to make it as easy as possible, so forgive the poor penning there.
Just what's underlined here.
Just what's underlined there.
Okay, great. So Pharaoh, of course, is one of the boys I wrote about in There Are No Children Here, and when he came and lived with us for 6 years after the book came out, and there's this moment when he's going off to college, and my wife and I and our young daughter go back to New York to visit my parents, and Pharaoh stays behind to get ready to go. He's going to Southern Illinois, and he takes a cab from our house to his mom's, and when he gets to his mom's house, two guys yank him out of the cab, get into the back of the cab. It's a robbery, and they end up shooting and killing the cab driver in front of Pharaoh. And he witnesses the whole thing. And so, and I've never really talked to him about it, and so this is some 20 years later that I'm writing about. It's here at this restaurant that I come to realize how much this incident is a part of him. In recounting that afternoon, Pharaoh seems in a different place. The violence is in his bones. There are so many like Pharaoh who carry the violence, who keep moving forward, enshrouded in its aftermath.
Tell me why it was the summer of 2013 that you kind of chose to focus on.
That was fairly arbitrary. I just, it was it was the summer I landed. I knew as a storyteller I needed some boundaries. I needed some scaffolding to tell these stories, and so this summer provided that. And it is, in fact, at the end of 2013, it was a reasonably tame summer by Chicago standards. And at the end of the summer, Gary McCarthy, the police superintendent then, and Rahm Emanuel kind of declare mission accomplished. And
we fixed it. It's all fixed.
Right.
We did it, right?
And then, as you point out, 3 years later, we had 795 homicides, almost twice what we had that year. And nobody can explain what happened, why that was.
Did you feel like it was important to give, viewers or readers who are in Chicago, not in Chicago, a pretty holistic view of, what the landscape looks like here?
Right. Yeah. No. In fact, I remember during the kind of the height of the Black Lives Matter movement, there were all these kind of rumblings from people. Oh, well, why aren't people out there protesting black-on-black crime or doing anything about that? And I'm thinking, people are doing that. I mean, people are doing that every single day. They're out there marching. They're out there doing street outreach work. And so I think it's one of the mistakes that we make is somehow thinking that everybody's just kind of like turtles have pulled their heads in.
For Chicagoans like Lisa Daniels, that couldn't be further from the truth.
Because of the worst decision of his life that cost him his life, he did not deserve to just die.
After her son was shot and killed in a neighborhood south of Chicago, Daniels founded a center that focuses on restorative justice and healing all parties involved in a crime, including perpetrators and victims. Daniels' story of perseverance is one of many featured in An American Summer.
One of the common threads in each of these stories is that these people that I write about are not only standing erect in this world that's slumping around them, but some of them are moving forward and moving forward heroically and pushing back. Lisa Daniels being one of them. I think a single act of violence around which a rest of a lifetime will revolve, and trying to, again, figure out ways, it's going to shape you in some manner, but to not let it define you. And that's what you see in so many of these stories of people trying to do just that, not letting it define them.